We know that in the 21st century, 12 years of schooling is not enough, and that young people are getting crushed by the burden of student debt. Under the legislation we're going to be proposing, we're going to have a number of policies to provide affordable higher education to alleviate that financial burden. This includes anyone being able to get into community college to be able to go there for free. Public colleges and universities will be tuition-free for families earning less than $125,000. We're going to cut student loan payments in half by using those income-based payments. You know, if you're making $25,000 or less per year, you won't owe a dime of payment or interest while you're only at that level. If you make more than that, you only pay a small percentage of your income in order to be able to pay off your debt. Our legislative plan also means that if you choose to go into public service, whether you're a teacher, a paramedic, counseling victims of domestic violence, or whatever else, it's only right that our country wipe out your student debt altogether over time. It includes forgiving debt for undergraduate public tuition if you're earning less than $125,000 a year. It means immediately forgiving $10,000 in student debt in the midst of this economic crisis. We'll also invest more than $70 billion in historic black colleges, universities, and minority-serving institutions to help prepare these graduates, like our Vice President-elect, for good-paying jobs and industries of the future. There's so much we can do, so much, and we can afford to do it. We can build an economy that eases the financial burden of the caregiving crisis. Make sure working families don't pay more than 7% of their income on child care for their young children. And like we did during the Obama-Biden administration, we can combat campus sexual assault under Title IX, something the Trump administration and the current Secretary of Education have only undermined. The bottom line is we can achieve all these critical things, but we need someone who gets that education isn't just what we do as a nation. It's who we are. It's who we are. It's the reason why we were one of the first nations in the world to have universal education. It was the reason why we got propelled in the 20th century to begin to lead the world economically. And that person who understands this, I'm proud to announce, is former Secretary of Education now, I'm talking about his existing job. Actually, it's not called education, but anyway, the Secretary of Education we nominate is Dr. Miguel Cardona, fourth grade public school teacher, the youngest principal in the state of Connecticut, first official Latino to serve as the Education Commissioner. I started to call him a Secretary of Education, Education Commissioner. Dr. Cardona rose up the ranks to become an assistant superintendent in the same school district he attended as an English learner student, the same district where he was born in public housing. The son and grandson of parents and grandparents who moved from Puerto Rico in search of new opportunities. He made it a point of taking new teachers on tours of his district's neighborhoods, the wealthy blocks where students grew up with every resource they needed to get ahead, and the blocks where families were struggling to get by, where a new calculator or a nutritious breakfast weren't a given. He understands that the deep roots of inequity that exist as a source of our persistent opportunities gaps. He understands the transformative power that comes from investing in public education. In our conversations, Dr. Cardona talked about how public education was the great equalizer. It gave him a chance to reach the dream his parents and grandparents had for him, a place where a high school teacher inspired him to be an educator. Public education that helped Miguel become one of the first in his family to go to college, the first to earn a doctorate. And with that preparation and grounding, Dr. Cardona has brought his heart, his knowledge, and his passion for education to bear on behalf of the students across Connecticut. And when that pandemic struck, he was ready. He helped secure more than 140,000 laptops, more than 40,000 internet connections for students who lacked them. Because of him, Connecticut became the first state in the nation to ensure that every single public school student was equipped to engage in remote learning regardless of family income. As the months passed, he followed health guidance and he got the funding and the resources to provide masks and plexiglass and testing so schools could reopen and operate safely. That's the vision, resolve, and initiative that are all going to help us contain this pandemic and reopen our schools safely and build back better. And it's a standard of care that comes from having taught in the classroom. That comes from a hardworking family who found their way in America through public education. It comes from someone who knows from his core that our nation's children are the kite strings that lift our national ambitions aloft. He is the Secretary of Education for this moment. I thank him and his family for accepting this call to serve. We could not do this without them or him. To the career staff of the Department of Education, you'll have a fantastic and trusted leader who will help you carry out the department's mission with honor and integrity, the honor and integrity of an educator. And to the American people, to educators, families, caregivers, and students, help is on the way. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a happy holiday. May God bless you all and may God protect our troops. I'm going to turn you over to the next Secretary of Education, Dr. Miguel Cardona.